Okay, that's right. We are definitely jamming right now. We are cruising right now here on the Rich Van Tassel Show, coming to you as well on 90.5 Brookdale Student Radio. So we're going to keep going here. We have our next game is the Carolina Panthers off to a very impressive 3-0 start. They're traveling to Tampa Bay to play the Buccaneers, who are 1-2. Injuries for the Carolina Panthers: Mike Tolbert, their fullback, is probable. Josh Norman, their cornerback, is probable. Luke Kuechly, their spectacular linebacker, continues to be out. Thomas Davis, their linebacker, is probable. Jericho Cotchery, their wide receiver, is out. Corey Brown, their wide receiver, is probable. Jonathan Stewart, their running back, is probable. And Charles Johnson, their defensive end, is out. A lot of injuries. We're getting into the meat of the NFL season, so a lot of teams are looking for their bye weeks. Carolina's obviously one of them with a lot of these injuries. Tampa Bay Buccaneers, their injuries. Chris Conte, their safety, is probable. Jonathan Banks, their cornerback, is doubtful. Doug Martin, their running back, is questionable. Gerald McCoy, their defensive tackle, is questionable. And Major Wright, their safety, is questionable. Now, Carolina is a team, as much as I love Cam Newton, that I've been doubting thus far this season. I thought the injury to Kelvin Benjamin was really going to affect them. Cam Newton, though, I think is stepping into, in the upper echelon of quarterbacks and is putting this team on his shoulders and not allowing them to win. Cam Newton is a winner, or excuse me, Cam Newton is not allowing them to lose because he is a winner. And you're seeing that right now. This guy's spectacular. He's going to do whatever it takes to win, and might just be in the MVP consideration at the end of this year, the way he's been playing. Now, with this game, I look at Tampa Bay. I see the injuries in the secondary. While Chris Conte is likely going to go, Jonathan Banks, their cornerback, and Major Wright, their safety, are questionable. And Gerald McCoy, their defensive tackle, who's also questionable. You need the defensive tackle like Gerald McCoy, who is very good to get pressure, especially on a guy like Cam Newton. Now, Tampa Bay is coming off a win against New Orleans. New Orleans, a lot of question marks there. We don't know exactly what team they are, but that's their only win of the season. They've been, frankly, more disappointing than even I thought they were going to be. I thought, with a lot of these young players like Doug Martin, like James Winston, the rookie, and Mike Evans on the offensive side of the ball, and a guy like Gerald McCoy on the defensive side of the ball, they'd be a lot more impressive. So Carolina, looking at some serious injuries with Charles Johnson being out, you're going to struggle to get pressure on Jameis Winston, though Tampa Bay's offensive line is not very spectacular. Luke Kuechly, they've been playing a couple weeks now without him, so as much as it hurts to not have a sensational player like Luke Kuechly on the field, it is going to continue, or they will continue to play well without him because they've been doing it for a few weeks now, so they know what it takes. Josh Norman, if he can't go, that might give Tampa Bay a shot. Josh Norman is the cornerback for the Carolina Panthers, but I'm expecting him to play. Again, every time I see probable, I expect him to play. And Jonathan Stewart as well as probable, so I'm expecting him to go. Cam Newton, again, he's not going to allow the Carolina Panthers to lose to a bad Tampa Bay team, even though it's on the road. Now, Tampa Bay, did they get their mojo, so to speak, after that win against New Orleans? We'll see. They have been really bad the previous weeks, so they'll probably give Carolina a bit of a fight. But again, Cam Newton is not going to allow them to lose this game. So I'd like Carolina to win, and I'd like them to win fairly convincingly. I like a score of 31-14. Next, we have the Philadelphia Eagles traveling to the nation's capital. Actually, not really the nation's capital. It's in Maryland. But they play the Washington Redskins. Injuries: DeMarco Murray, who did not play last week, the running back, is probable. Mikael Kendricks, their linebacker, is probable. Kiko Alonso, the linebacker, is out, and Cody Parkey, their kicker, is on injury reserve. I don't know why I'm giving a kicker that much respect for not being able to play for the rest of the year, but he's listed on the list, so we'll give it to you. For the Redskins, Deshaun Jackson continues to be out. He's been out for a few weeks now, and Colt McCoy, the backup quarterback, is out. Both teams. Actually, no, excuse me. Philadelphia is coming off a win. Washington is coming off a loss. 2 weeks ago, it would have been a situation where you're looking at this game and wondering, that where the Eagles were heading because they did not look very good after that loss against Dallas, and Washington was looking quite impressive after the win against St. Louis. But it changes week to week. Philadelphia got the win against the Jets. A lot of turnovers helped them in that game, and then Washington, there was a lot of talk coming out of that locker room about being on a nationally televised game. We're playing against the Giants. We're going to show that this team is for real, and they go out and got smacked around in that game. So you never really know. Could things change going into this week? Yeah, it always changes on a dime. But one thing that has been consistent is the poor play of Sam Bradford this year. Now, I told you all, again, some of you didn't see me on my YouTube channel for the season preview. Sam Bradford is the reason I didn't have Philadelphia winning this division or going to the playoffs. And he's proving that right now this entire year. 73 for 117 thus far this season. That is a pretty poor completion percentage. 3 touchdowns to 4 interceptions. He couldn't have looked any worse against Dallas and barely outplayed Ryan Fitzpatrick, who was trying to let him outplay him last week against Philadelphia. So Kirk Cousins, again, is really not much better. Their numbers are quite similar. Cousins this year is 74, 107, 715 yards, 3 touchdowns and 4 interceptions. So he has a few more yards. His completion percentage is a little bit better, but Kirk Cousins is another guy who you wonder about. Was looking really good after St. Louis. A lot of talk about him. Then he comes out and didn't play well against the Giants. For Philly, I'd look for Ryan Matthews, even though DeMarco Murray is playing, to get a bulk of the running, as well as Darren Sproles, who was good against the Jets last week. DeMarco Murray, could it be that he's missing the Cowboys' offensive line from last season? I suppose that's possible. But he's playing against a good offensive line in Philadelphia, so maybe it's just the running style doesn't, the offense of Chip Kelly doesn't fit him. I don't know what it is, but we'll see what he can do coming into this game. Again, I would go with Ryan Matthews as well as Darren Sproles more. Alfred Morris looks like Alfred Morris is going to start for Washington. They've also had Matt Jones, the rookie, who's been rushing very well. This game's going to come down to which quarterback is least bad, I suppose. If at this point, I don't really have faith in either one of them. But I would say that Sam Bradford can't continue to play this bad. I think he has a bit more weapons, and with Deshaun Jackson being out for Washington, that's going to hurt. And frankly, Kirk Cousins doesn't impress me that much. Again, we know how much of a fan I am of RG3, Robert Griffin III, who's been demoted. But Kirk Cousins is a starting quarterback, and Washington's going to keep regretting that. And not quite as much as Philadelphia is going to regret having Sam Bradford as their starter. So I like the Eagles in an ugly game. Who knows what the weather's going to be like down there in Washington. So I expect it to be really ugly, and I like the Eagles 20-17, possibly even an overtime game. All right, next up we have the Oakland Raiders traveling to Chicago to play the Bears. The Raiders, a team who were my surprise playoff pick this year, are back to 2-1. They won a game just recently last week against Cleveland, which is even more in the East Coast. Chicago's in the Central Time, Cleveland's in the East Coast time, so it shouldn't be that much of a hindrance to them. Again, it's usually tough for West Coast teams to travel to the East to play. I don't know if Oakland, after they played Cleveland, if they went back to California and then flew back to Chicago, or if they just stayed in the Cleveland area and then went right from Cleveland to Chicago. If I were them, which I'm not, if I were their owner, I would have stayed in the area, but who knows? I don't have that information for you. I'm sorry. For this game, the injuries, Tywan Jones, the running back for Oakland, is questionable. For the Bears, Jermon Bushrod, the offensive tackle, is out. Jay Cutler is listed as questionable, so it looks like he is improving his injury status, but that might not even be that good news for Bears fans. Alshon Jeffrey, their wide receiver, is questionable. Will Sutton, their defensive tackle, is questionable. Jay Cutler is going to turn the ball over. Is Chicago an 0-4 team? Yes, I think they are. Again, you don't see a lot of teams going 0-4. For the Oakland Raiders, a team that's, really discovery time, these are the type of games that you really learn a lot about. You're playing a lesser team on the road, so you want to go in there and really put your foot on their throat and not let them get any confidence. So Oakland's going to play a lot of tougher games this year, but not as many telling games, in my opinion. Derek Carr is going to find his weapons, though. Latavius Murray, who this year is again over 5 yards per carry, 52 carries for, or excuse me, just under 5 yards per carry, 52 carries for 248 yards. We talked about that. Now that he's getting carries for Oakland, it looks like he is going to be a stud in this league. Amari Cooper, my offensive rookie of the year, is off to a spectacular start. 20 receptions, 290 yards, and a touchdown. So look for him to continue to improve. Chicago, maybe Jay Cutler has his rare spectacular game in this one. I'm not expecting it, and I'm expecting Oakland in a tough game for them to find a way to win. The offensive line plays well enough, and they're going to get the job done. 24-20 Oakland. All right, next up, our next game is the Houston Texans. They are traveling to Atlanta to play the impressive Atlanta Falcons. Falcons are off that win against the Cowboys where they really just let loose on the Cowboys in the second half. Houston got their first win of the year. This is another game filled with injuries. For the Houston Texans first, Jonathan Grimes, running back, questionable. Jonathan Joseph, cornerback, questionable. Arian Foster, running back, questionable. Ryan Mallett, their quarterback, questionable. Brandon Brooks, their offensive guard, questionable. Dwayne Brown, their offensive tackle, questionable. So a lot of injuries and a lot that can go either way. For the Falcons, Jacob Tamme, tight end, out. Devin Hester, the wide receiver, kick returner. I don't believe he's played a game this year. He continues to be out. Tevin Coleman, who did not play last week, is out. Julio Jones, the wide receiver, is questionable. Devonta Freeman, who had a good game last week against Dallas, is questionable. Paul Warlow, the linebacker, is probable. Ricardo Allen, their safety, is probable. Justin Durant, their linebacker, is probable. Atlanta's been off to a very good year this year. Now, really the biggest thing here is Jonathan Joseph, the best cornerback for the Houston Texans, is questionable. And Julio Jones, who is playing out of his mind this year, is the wide receiver for the Falcons, is questionable. Julio Jones shredded the Cowboys last week, as well as Devonta Freeman, the running back. So we're going to see if those guys can go. So a lot of injury questions with this game, another game that's filled with injuries. If Ryan Mallett and Arian Foster can go, I like Houston to go in and get the win. Not that I think Houston's a better team than Atlanta, but I think Atlanta is due for a loss. And with their injuries, I don't know what's going to happen. And I think a lot of the film will be discovered from what they did well against the Cowboys last week. And I believe Houston will be prepared for that. Houston, a playoff team, so it could be a little bit of bias. I'm a team I picked to go to the playoffs, my mistake. I could be a little bit biased in that regard, but I see them going in and getting the win. So Houston will win what I believe will be a high-scoring game because I expect Ryan Mallett and Arian Foster to play. I also expect Julio Jones to play. And I think Houston's going to find a way to get it done. I like 34-24 in this game. I'm giving a lot of points for Houston. We'll see if they don't let me down. Okay, the Kansas City Chiefs playing the Cincinnati to play the Bengals. The Chiefs been pretty disappointing this year, to be frank with you. And the Bengals, a team I didn't think was going to have as good of a year as they had. I thought this was going to be their slip-up year, or 3-0 and playing well. Injury reports. This game is not filled with injuries. Phillip Gaines, the cornerback for Kansas City, he's done for the season. He's on injury reserve. Jeremy Maclin, the wide receiver, is probable. For the Cincinnati Bengals, Adam Jones, their cornerback and mostly a punt returner, is questionable. Kansas City, they have to cut down on the turnovers. They're not doing so this year. I'd like to see them hand the ball off more to Jamal Charles, who is quietly having a very good year. 48 carries, 231 yards for 4 touchdowns this year. His counterpart, Giovanni Bernard for Cincinnati, is 41 carries for 235 yards this year. Andy Dalton is really playing well. He's not throwing the ball that much, so that could be why he's having such a good year. But he is 61 completions on 92 passes. That's very good for 866 yards, 8 touchdowns to only 1 interception. So I didn't even know Andy Dalton's numbers were that good. He's a guy who may be elevating himself into the MVP discussion. Kansas City secondary was really exposed by the Packers. That's going to happen. Aaron Rodgers is that good. With that being said, AJ Green, the wide receiver for Cincinnati, is also that good. 18 receptions, 335 yards, 3 touchdowns this year. Man, AJ Green, really love those Georgia dogs. So He's gonna shred this Kansas City secondary again, and the defensive line for Cincinnati, which I've talked about at length, is very good. Is going to really attack this weak Kansas City offensive line. So I like Cincinnati to win big in this game, even though Kansas City has the extended rest playing on, or no, excuse me, they played on the Thursday night game the week before. So Kansas City's on actually short rest because they just got done with the Monday night game. Could they surprise me? It's possible. Andy Reid is that good of a coach, and Cincinnati, they're not going to win in every game. But I'm liking Cincinnati a lot in this game. 31-17 Bengals. Okay, next the Cleveland Browns travel to San Diego to play the Chargers, two teams that are both 1-2. Injuries for Cleveland: Travis Benjamin, the wide receiver, probable. Robert Turbin, running back, out. Josh McCown, quarterback, probable. Joe Hayden, their cornerback, is questionable. For the Chargers, Luke Darius Green, their tight end, questionable. Jacoby Jones, wide receiver, questionable. Brandon Flowers, cornerback, probable. Jason Verrett, cornerback, probable. Josh McCown's going to get the start. I like Johnny Manziel more, but obviously he's not winning the job, which should speak a lot to Johnny Manziel. Who knows what his personal issues are, but whatever they are, I wish Johnny the best, and I wish Cleveland the best as well, because Josh McCown's just not a good enough quarterback. There's a reason this guy's been a career backup. With Joe Hayden being out, or excuse me, Joe Hayden is questionable, so he may play. It's really going to hurt Cleveland because we know that Philip Rivers likes to throw the balls to his big wide receivers and big tight ends. Jacoby Jones, the wide receiver for San Diego, is questionable. He's more of a kick returner, so it's not really going to hurt Philip Rivers that much. Robert Turbin is out. Cleveland has to do a better job of running the ball this entire season. Isaiah Crowell is their top runner coming into this game. 37 carries, 128 yards. So, and not like San Diego has been that much more impressive. Melvin Gordon, a high draft pick for San Diego, 44 carries, 190 yards. Travis Benjamin, who's probable to go, is really having a good year. Look for him to continue to play well in this game. Travis Benjamin plays for the Cleveland Browns, and Josh McCown find him a lot. I just don't see Cleveland going on the road. San Diego doesn't impress me much, but this is two pretty bad teams, so I'd expect San Diego to get the job done in this game being at home. I don't see Cleveland going to California and winning this game. Philip Rivers is going to find his targets, and I expect Melvin Gordon to really start to come into his own, and this will be more, not necessarily the breakout game, but a breakout game for him. So I'm liking Cleveland to win the game, or excuse me, San Diego to win the game over Cleveland to even the record out at 2-2. And I'm going to give you the score as 28-21. Alright, so we're going to take another quick break right here, come back, give you the rest of the games, and that'll be it for the day. But just another quick break, and stay with us. We'll be right back.